One of the first things that we have to do for learners is we have to assess them. Now, assessment has a lot of good and bad meanings behind it. Some of them are synonymous with test taking. Well, there is some truth to that, okay, but test taking doesn't always have to be painful. Sometimes assessment comes with evaluation, and there is some truth to that too. Evaluations don't always have to be a scary thing. And so what we're going to try to do is explore the concept of something called authentic assessment. Okay, assessment is a measurement. Authentic is just a real measurement, okay? And so a real measurement of something in real time is what I'm after. Okay, and so authentic assessment becomes a very powerful natural tool of learning. And I'd like to start with some examples for this. We all do this all the time. If you go into a store and you want to buy something and you look around and there are 10 different products that are similar, what do? You begin assessing almost right away. Which one is the best? What is the price of each one? What is the quantity of the product that you're getting? What is the quality? Well, what is quality? And you start defining the attributes to the quality of those things. And you start looking at those and evaluating those, and then you do your best to try the best product. And what's true to that is the more people that do that naturally, the more products change for us in marketing, okay? And then different competitors say, whoa, they must be doing better than us, so we're gonna lower our price. Well, that's one thing, but usually the better people who make more money are marketing off of assessment. They're evaluating what people are saying about that. Well, this is the concept that we want to get as well. Where are learners and how can we tell if they are where they need to be first, but then where they need to go second? And authentic assessment can do this. In some ways, this is very simple. In some models, we could say, what are we assessing? We're assessing reading skill. Okay, and so simply with reading skill, what we need to do is just do that. And we've done assessments as simple as this. Gather hundreds of students at a time, and in front of us, we're going to ask you to read one thing, and we put it on a screen, and they read that one thing. And then we put up 3 simple comprehension questions of different nature. Okay, and so we then are able to see, could they actually read it? Okay, could they answer the questions? And did their questions actually give us a good answer that makes sense according to the content of the passage? That's a simple authentic assessment, and we've done that. It can be a little bit more, a little bit deeper. It can be one-to-one. It can be me sitting with a person and saying, read this, and I want to listen to your skill, and I rate them 1 to 5 on that skill. And then I can ask them similar questions to earlier and say, did they answer them, and rate them again. And then I could start putting them into a skill set of 1 to 5. 5 being they were perfect, 1 being they couldn't really answer at all, 3 being somewhere in the middle of that. That's what authentic assessment looks like. In this literacy program, we have a couple of different assessments. One is the very simple one, like I just explained. Can somebody read something, and then can we evaluate them and put them into a labeled group of numeric order? Okay, meaning are they level 1, very low, or are they level 5, very high? And then we match materials to that. Other assessments are a little bit more complex. We can do a full language assessment, and this is a little bit better. And we can judge their skill based on reading, writing, speaking, listening. And we do simple assessments that have directions to them to say, how did they do on their listening assessment, 1 to 5? How did they do on their speaking assessment, 1 to 5? And we rate all of those things. This is a much more fuller picture of language and assessment. If you remember in the previous video, I talked about acquisition order, and I talked about a timeline to acquisition order, meaning it takes 5 to 7 years. This is why we want to use a 5-point scale to this. If they are a 5, they're very high, so they're very close to becoming very literate. If they are a 3, they're somewhere in the middle, which means their assessment on their speaking and writing is showing that it's low. And so then we're able to see that students are somewhere in the middle of their skill set of overall language. Well, that puts them at a level 3, which means that the materials that we give in the program are at that same matching level. Okay, and so what we would like you to do after this video is to look at the assessments that we have, and those are on the website for literacy that is provided for you. And or they're given to you in the attachments or documents that we've provided in this facilitation. Okay, and the assessment look at the simple one for just reading, but then look at the language one for the overall scope of language. And then reflect on the following. In the rating of somebody who's a reader, if you rank them 1 to 5, which materials do you think would be best for them in reading? And you're going to answer that question later after you see a materials overview, but I want to get you thinking about it now. If you do an overall assessment of language and they rank a level 2 or a level 3, which materials do you think would be the best for that level 2 or level 3 learner? And I want you to notice how I'm asking those questions. What do you think? That's authentic assessment. It's based on observation, simplicity, a real measurement in real time with something real, in this case, someone real. And you're looking at them, you're assessing, you're saying, I think they're about here. And you would be surprised. Almost all the time, those come out very consistent from person to person to person, because we are humans and we do things very similarly in logic. Okay, so take a look at it, look at the assessments, and then save your thoughts for a little bit later when you look at the materials, and then we'll explore a little bit deeper and refer back to this.